So good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be with you. And the topic this morning is appropriate, timely for my cold and Ann's cold and anyone else it's being comfortable with discomfort. And, I don't need to remind you, nor do I need to remind myself this week, that discomfort is inevitable, whether it manifests as physical pain, emotional distress, unease, dissatisfaction, discomfort. It's all part of the human experience. It's just part of the deal. But from a Buddhist perspective, the Buddha took a really unique perspective on this because he said it's not bad, it's not something to be necessarily avoided or suppressed. It's an opportunity to see it as a teacher and to grow in wisdom and to grow in compassion and to grow in inner peace when we confront discomfort. We can fight it and rail at the universe for inflicting it on us, or we can acknowledge it as a normal and unavoidable part of life and just practice some acceptance or allowance of it. Because by learning to become comfortable with discomfort, we create greater resilience. We deepen our understanding of the nature of existence, the nature of reality, and we, most importantly, free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. And as you know, the Buddha began his teaching with a really unflinching look at discomfort. That first noble truth, that truth of dukkha, is often translated as suffering, but it's much broader than that. It encompasses dissatisfaction, displeasure, unease, anxiety, a sense of restlessness. The list goes on and on. It's all these uncomfortable experiences that we had. Life inherently contains moments of pain, of loss, and impermanence, which we talk about here all the time. And we suffer not just because of that stuff arising. We suffer because we resist it. We suffer because we stick the second arrow in it. We cling to what is pleasant and then lament when it goes away. And then we push away what is unpleasant. This resistance amplifies our suffering. It creates a cycle of tension, of frustration, of feeling like we're out of control. So, for instance, when we feel anxiety about an uncertain future, which is a normal human experience, the natural default is often to fight the feeling, distract ourselves, run away from it. But this very resistance intensifies our discomfort because it's always nipping at our heels. It's always kind of coming after us. Buddhism teaches that instead of reacting or running from discomfort, we set an intention to sit with it, to observe it, to understand its nature, and to accept it as inevitable. Discomfort, when met with mindfulness and compassion, is an invaluable teacher. One of the most practical tools, and again in the Buddha's brilliance, that he offered for becoming comfortable with discomfort is present moment awareness. The practice of being fully present with whatever arises without judgment and without resistance. This is like it is now. When discomfort arises, mindfulness invites us to pause, to acknowledge it, rather than trying to fix it, escape it, run from it, all the things we do that we talk about here so frequently. It's so interesting, just the coincidence of this, but this week I was really in touch with feeling uncomfortable and that strong urge to do whatever I could to resist it, to get better, to, rail about it, to be upset about it. But when I stopped, I realized when I just sort of dropped that for the moment and just sat with it, what came up was vulnerability. What was lurking under all that resistance to not feeling good and feeling sick was this tremendous sense of vulnerability. It was like, whoa, where did that come from? So there's always something deeper to look at when we get past our reflexive default responses to discomfort. There's something underneath it that's asking us to take a look at it, and that was a real teachable moment for me that I didn't expect, and it's been interesting to sort of just watch it as I have not felt so good this week. But if you think about sitting in meditation and getting an ache in your back, okay, the habitual response is to sort of get frustrated and move around, and I can't do this, and I need to shift or get up and move. But what if we just lean into that sensation with curiosity, which is what I tried to do with my cold this week. When we observe these things closely, first of all, we notice that it's not this solid, unchanging thing. I mean, even not feeling good this week, it sort of comes and goes. I had moments where I felt fine, moments where I didn't feel so fine. So we see the impermanence of it. We see the waves of it. We see how it's these things, these discomforts are so typically a dynamic sensation that comes and goes, that ebbs and flows. Okay, which in itself is an insight. And that observation really does begin to loosen the grip of discomfort. It's not so all-encompassing. We can then make choices about responding more skillfully rather than reactively to it. Reactivity and suffering go hand in hand. Think about that. Reactivity is a predictable response to the conditions that cause us suffering. We don't like it. We react. We get emotionally upset. We lash out at ourselves, at the universe, at whatever, is causing that discomfort. So if we're going to manage our reactivity, we've got to manage our suffering, or at least meet it with a different response. This also applies to emotional discomfort. When feelings of sadness, anger, fear arise, our present moment awareness helps create space to simply feel these things without judgment, knowing they will pass. When we cling to them or push them away and get in a wrestling match with them, they stick around. But when we just sit with them and watch them, we see that emotions, physical sensations, are impermanent. They arise, they peak, and then they pass away. When we face them with patience and acceptance, we begin to see that we are not defined by our discomfort. I was so aware this week of being so defined by this cold. It was all I could sort of think about. And it was just interesting to watch how consumed I became by it. And often when we're uncomfortable, that's what happens. And then can we step away from it enough to look at it, to explore it again with curiosity, and not be controlled by it, not be consumed by it. Now, another key teaching, as you will recall, that supports our ability to be comfortable with discomfort is the practice of equanimity, one of the Brahma Viharas. The quality of maintaining balance and composure, the quality of staying grounded in the face of life's highs and lows. Now, again, remember, equanimity is not indifference. It's not apathy. It's not throwing in the towel. It's the ability to remain steady, to remain open-hearted amidst suffering, and also amidst joyful moments, because we know they're not going to last, okay? It's just a steadiness there. But with regard to discomfort, cultivating equanimity involves recognizing that discomfort is just a part of the human experience. None of us are spared. Yes, we can fight with it, but to what end? We tend to take it personally. Oh, poor me, why me? Why did I get this cold? It's so inconvenient, I have things to do. It's not personal. It's not something that could be avoided at all costs. It's just part of the flow of life. I didn't feel good this week. Big deal. Get over it, Jeff, so that we stop resisting these inevitable challenges and fighting with them. It only caused me greater suffering and misery. We try to meet our discomfort with grace and steadiness. So think of a situation where someone criticizes us. That discomfort of being judged or misunderstood can really feel overwhelming. It really kicks the ego right in the teeth, right? With equanimity, however, we step back, we see the situation with clarity, we see it a little differently, we see it as temporary, as manageable, as not a reflection of our entire worth. And the beauty of this balanced perspective is it opens us up to allow ourselves to respond more wisely, rather than reacting out of defensiveness or fear. So the takeaway today is that discomfort is a powerful teacher which offers profound opportunities to cultivate compassion for ourselves, cultivate compassion for others. When we experience our own pain or our own struggle, we can use it as a gateway to understand and connect with the shared suffering of everyone else. This is the practice of compassion. And this is the practice of compassion in a world in which everything and everyone is connected. When we recognize that discomfort is universal, we soften our hearts. We extend kindness to ourselves and others. If you think about someone facing grief after a profound loss, we remember in that moment that others, countless others, have experienced this pain. Now, this doesn't diminish our suffering if we've suffered a loss, but we don't feel as alone with it. We don't feel as isolated with it. We feel like this is just part of the deal again. This is just how life unfolds. And that deepens our empathy. It deepens our desire to support others who are going through challenges. So in this way, discomfort, instead of isolating us where we want to go off and lick our wounds, it becomes a bridge to others rather than a barrier. You know that expression, misery loves company? There's tremendous wisdom in that because it's true. Discomfort reminds us of our shared humanity, to approach both ourselves and others with tenderness and care. One of my favorite and perhaps the most transformative Buddhist teachings on my own path regarding discomfort, and again, it came up this week, is the notion of impermanence. I had to keep reminding myself, this cold shall pass. And it is. It's already getting better. All things, be they pleasant or unpleasant or transient. Just as joy fades, so does pain. When we deeply understand, I don't mean intellectually, I mean in our guts, when we deeply understand the impermanence of discomfort, we can meet it with greater ease, with acceptance, and we can look beneath it and see what's lurking there, like vulnerability. When we let go of the need to control it, to avoid it, to suppress it, we live more fully in the present moment. We're not striving for a life free of challenges, free of pain, free of suffering. We just say, drop the rope. I'm not fighting it. It's just, that's what it is. I'm not passive about it, but nor am I wrestling with it all the time. Discomfort need not be an obstacle to our happiness. It need not be an obstacle, but an integral part of our journey. So I was thinking again about today and sort of what are some of the steps we might take here. So the first one is just what we always do. We pause, we breathe, we check in. When discomfort arises, we focus on the breath to ground ourselves. We create space to respond mindfully. We resist the temptation to react impulsively. We name the discomfort. We label the sensation or the emotion. Oh, this is frustration. Oh, this is tightness in my chest. This is discomfort in my throat, whatever. It creates a sense of clarity about the experience. It goes from being this diffuse kind of awful thing, whatever it is, to something that I can really sort of zero in on. And then I can investigate it with curiosity. Where's it, what does it feel like in my body? Where's my body really nagging at me this morning? What's my voice doing this morning, sounding all wonky? This shifts our relationship with the discomfort from avoidance to understanding. If I'm running around, chewing on lozenges all day, I'm not really looking at it in a way that helps me understand the impermanence of it, and that it's going to be better at some moments, not so much at others. Then I can engage in some self-compassion practice. Remind myself it's okay to be uncomfortable. In fact, it's unavoidable. I'm going to be uncomfortable. Offer some kind words. Hang in there, old friend. You can do this. It's temporary. Do your best. Reflect on the impermanence. Always come back to that. It's like a passing storm. It will subside. Now, some things don't, let's be clear, but we still can engage with them in a way that is more mindful. And then we can cultivate compassion for ourselves and others. We can practice loving kindness. We can engage in compassion practice and loving kindness practice. Being comfortable with discomfort is not about eliminating pain from our lives. We couldn't do it if we wanted to. It's not about eliminating hardship from our lives. We couldn't do it if we wanted to. It's about changing our relationship with it. So much of this path is about changing our relationship with the suffering in our lives. With mindfulness, with equanimity, with compassion, with an understanding, a deep gut level understanding of impermanence. We learn to face discomfort with courage and grace. And by doing that, the freedom that comes with that is the freedom from the constant struggle to control or avoid all of life's challenges. We open ourselves to deeper peace, greater wisdom, because we are meeting life just as it is, not with all the stories, all the distortions, all the second arrow, all the distractions, all the toys, but as it is. As the Buddha taught, quote, peace comes from within, do not seek it without. Peace comes from within, do not seek it from without, from the Dhammapada. When we embrace discomfort as part of our path, we discover that peace is not the absence of pain. Our culture suggests that to us all the time, that peace is the absence of pain. It isn't. It's the presence of profound acceptance and understanding of that pain and discomfort. So, those are some thoughts and a little bit of real world experience for me this week on being comfortable with discomfort.